Source Consciousness, mystery within the mist, radiant intelligence who weaves symbol into flesh and dreams the world into being. We call to you now from the center of the spiral. Let the mirror of the moon reflect the inner sun into the secret places thought cannot go. Let the spiral descend from the disk of light into the dreaming body, where resonance takes root in sensation and meaning gives way to mystery. Let the lunar current rise from beneath our skin. Let the subtle tides within our nervous system remember how to receive the glyphs of the living myth. Let the dream return, not as sleep, but as the deeper poetry of awakening. Let the beauty that longs to become form find its way into matter through us. We open the field to the descent of the lunar codes. Let the outer world shimmer with dream signals. Each image, gesture, and rhythm be a reflection of your deeper currents. Let the dreamer within awaken to the living field, to feel its weight and cross veils of forgetting through the somatic intelligence of the oracle. We surrender our sense of knowing, of defining, of reaching for understanding as we attune with presence. We invite the dream of the world soul to press inward through our senses as we listen with our bones, our blood, and our longing, embracing the quiet awareness that ripples in the sacred chalice behind the ribs. Let the incarnating myth land in our bodies. Let our breath become the medium of revelation. May sensation become the first language. And as the dream settles into the vessel, may something new begin to move in us, beyond reason into resonance. As subtle movements of sensation become prophecy and cognition becomes poetry, we offer this gesture, this breath, these words that emerge not from thought, but from gnosis. Let this space be consecrated, unfolding the circumference of the sun, descending into the spiral thrones of nature. Let the mirrored light find its circuitry, touching soil and skin. The current flows. The spirits of time's rotation have gathered. The sky begins to whisper. The portal is open. The transmission begins. Greetings, seekers of the lunar current. You have crossed the radiant arc of the solar disk and now find yourself at the dusk of a quieter mystery. Here, the dew of twilight condensation falls with a soft shimmering. A silver mist veils radiance and symbols become sigils. You stand now at the gateway of somatic reverberations, where the myth no longer circles above you, but begins to gather in the breath and press against the skin of your deeper essence. The world still speaks, but the voice is closer now, cupping the inner ear with the gentle whisper of the Nameless One, your first beloved. As you drift toward a primordial repose, a shape is forming, a rhythm of vapors curling through this encounter, now folding inward. And in its folding, a new listening emerges. This is not the listening of ears or even of the mind. It is the deep listening of the body, the kind that happens behind the breath, beneath the heartbeat, inside the stillness you didn't know was waiting. Symbols approach you now with intimacy. They no longer hover in the sky of the mind. They arrive like the weather, subtle, unannounced, yet undeniable. They land as warmth in the hands, as weight in the chest. They move like a chill down the spine, or as the pull of a gaze towards something unspeakably familiar. You are not asked to understand them. You are only asked to feel where they land. This is the sacred task now, to track the shape of the myth as it enters form, to welcome the way a moment presses into your side like a memory not yet remembered. The gateway is not something you pass through. It's something that moves through you. You do not step forward, you let go. You do not advance, you attune. The spiral does not ask you to rise. It asks you to deepen, to soften, to become available. As you become more still, the more you will feel the dream coiling into place. You will begin to notice that your breath lengthens, not from effort, but invitation. That your limbs grow heavier, not in fatigue, but in presence. That your awareness gathers like water held in cupped hands, awaiting nothing but its own reflection. Here you begin to learn a different kind of meaning, one that intones, one that echoes and reveals from the other side of the unseen. The myth now begins to murmur, not in cadence, but in incandescence. You may find yourself turning your head not knowing why, or stepping aside from something you thought you desired, toward a brighter current that calls you. You may hear a name rise in your mind, or feel a stillness so complete it humbles every thought. These are not messages to decipher. They are evanescent invitations to move differently. You are entering the realm of the ephemeral, where essence becomes clothed in form, where light does not just shine, it incarnates, where action does not follow logic, but emerges. And in this realm, you begin to become something else. Not a thinker, not a seeker, but a vessel. A tuning fork for the body of the dream that's slowly finding its way into the world through your frequency. Remain here for a while. In this liminal spiral, we walk the in-between. We rest in a resonance older than time. Let yourself be marked. Let the myth land. Let the dream leave traces across your skin. You will move, yes, but not yet. First, we feel. First, we receive. First, we become the place where the dream comes to bathe in the waters of the psyche. The crystal spiral emerges from the soul of the moon. It begins at the return of all endings, with a pulse between breaths, an inward coiling of presence toward the place where meaning touches form. It is the pathway of the dream descending, winding itself through layers of sensing, gathering density, becoming gesture. Where the solar disk emerges from symmetry, the spiral radiates from an unseen periphery. It emerges within the field itself, born of movement, memory, and the rhythmic pulse of incarnation. Its intelligence is kinetic. It is not stillness or radiance, but the elegant drift of the dream body in descent. It is the architecture of becoming, not in lines, not in clear revolutions, but in recursive curvatures that fold time into sensation and fold sensation into story. The spiral is the vessel through which the dream body learns to walk. With each turn, a new layer of the self is touched, not understood, but contacted. Each curve of its descent brushes against a forgotten echo, a half-formed ache, a moment of recognition so subtle it arrives as breathlessness. In the spiral, integration is not immediate. It is tidal, cyclic, veiled in a silver mist of glyphs, echoed in the currents of sensation. It calls for silence, for waiting, for feeling, returning. Here, longing curves into devotion, and presence unfolds into illumination, ever beyond the boundaries of thought, word, and tongue. This is the sacred rhythm of embodiment, the myth becoming matter. The spiral breathes through radiant darkness. It shimmers like dewlight, like bioluminescence beneath water, as you awaken from sleep into your dream. Its texture is made of choices not yet made. There is no edge, no boundary, no beginning, and no end, only turn and turning and turning. Until you no longer know what is or what was, but sense now what is becoming. Until you know not place or sequence, not force or thing, but symbol, animating signal to speak in the veils of your tissues and sing in the vibrating tones of your tears. Here, you lose your maps, your compass, and don't know whether you are spiraling down into ancestral memory or spiraling out into dimensions older than organisms, orienting not through cognition, but through symbolic convergence and somatic gnosis. You find yourself flowing effortlessly across thresholds. This is the geometry of reflection and refraction. It is mirrored coalescence, where particle and wave are conjoined in co-emergence, where the synesis of soul erupts in the quantum poetry of dreams, psychic asymmetries, and archetypal experience. It calls revelation to become clothed, embodied in evolutionary forms, to thicken in the veiled path of the felt sense, to become an instrument of mythic substance curling through the currents of meaning, the womb of the dream body birthing textured crystal. Meaning arrives in the tremors of the field, in the fingertips, in the marrow, in the nervous system, in the motion between phrases. There is no diagram here. There is only the pulse, only the presence beckoning surrender and echoing back revelation. Here, the slow unfolding of a nameless intelligence rotates into form. Here, cognition does not ascend into clarity, it descends into coherence. Where the solar disk brings sensate convergence, the spiral brings cyclic continuity, a living poetry of becoming, the aroma that arises from an unknown source, a touch, a tone, a felt presence awaiting your silence. The spiral teaches you to return again and again in the echo of rhythmic revelation, each revolution a deeper chord, a fuller resonance, a closer contact with the mystery that speaks in the weight of symbols. To walk the spiral is to walk between worlds. We do not follow its curves, we become them. We are the unfolding myth coiling into flesh. We are the sound wave descending into form. The spiral aligns and circumscribes the dream of the world soul into the circadian rhythm of source intelligence, dreaming the world awake. It arrives in the pause, in its potency, in the way you feel the invisible pressure of the story before it's told. This is the geometry of incarnation, the incantation of living gnosis, of kairos, of timeless presence that thickens until it begins to shape the world of manifestation. It is the flux and flow of deep time, the fountain of form delivering definition and destiny. It shapes it, molds it with diaphanous brilliance, with softness, with beauty, with luminiferous mist. There is no certainty here, only the rhythm of remembrance. And as you yield to its motion, you arrive, fully, finally, here. The myth is finding its way into the marrow. The gate is open. The dream is coiling inward. Let it lavish you in the liminal and dream you into the remembrance of what you have always been. From the crystal spiral emerges the triune intelligence of the dreamer, the oracle, and the veil walker. They are not abstractions, nor poetic gestures. They are the living frequencies of myth incarnating through the body of the seeker. They do not arise from thought. They spiral out from felt memory, threading themselves into form as the dream descends through sensation into becoming. These are not roles to be assumed. They are spiral emanations, self-organizing archetypal fields that shape the choreography of sacred embodiment. Each emerges in rhythm with the spiral's deepening turn. They do not arrive all at once. They do not compete. They are phases of a single current unfolding through your breath, your awareness, your step. They are the way myth becomes motion, the way story becomes self. We now resonate the current of the dreamer. She is not summoned, she stirs. She glimmers at the edge of perception like a half-seen symbol across a veil. Her presence softens the field, slows time, thickens air. She is the one who receives, who walks through the waking world as if moving through a dream made of meaning. She sees not events, but glyphs, not conversations, but echoes. In her gaze, the world becomes a layered fabric of archetypes revealing themselves in gestures, timing, and the way the wind shifts through trees. Her knowing does not seek explanation. It listens for pattern. She is the soul before language, the field before form. She does not point to meaning. She senses where it is gathering. When the dreamer arrives in you, your life becomes permeable. Encounters deepen, objects gleam. There is a hush before words. You feel as if something is always just about to speak, and it is. The world is speaking. The dreamer is the one who can hear it. She does not move toward things. She allows things to move toward her. Symbols gather of their own accord, uninvited, yet unmistakably familiar. The dreamer's gift is not to conjure meaning, but to become still enough that meaning can remember how to arrive. She leans into the pause between stimuli, into the space before the story attaches itself. There, in that liminal hush, the myth begins to lean in, folding its edges into time, slipping through the cracks in causality, surfacing in fragments across the texture of her movement. In her presence, even silence becomes articulate. The rustle of leaves begins to carry oracular structure. A misstep, a glance, a word heard twice. Each becomes a sigil of convergence. She does not explain these things. She breathes them. The dreamer is the soul's dilation. It's widening into a state receptive enough to notice the real arriving in disguise. She does not ask what the moment means. She senses what it wants. And in this listening, reality begins to respond, not as a sequence, as a pattern, as invitation. We now traverse the spiral turn of the oracle. She is not the one who explains the dream. She is the one who feels where it lands. Her temple is not of light, but of fascia, breath, tension, and tremor. The oracle is the living embodiment of reception. Her wisdom arises not through insight, but through coherence, a resonance that begins in the body and unfurls into direction. She is the one who senses truth as a subtle ache, a pull towards stillness, a warming in the solar field. She tracks the symbol the way water tracks roots, downward, inward, without hesitation. The oracle arises as the dream thickens. When symbols press into skin, when myth winds itself through the breath and emerges as sensation. She does not interpret, she translates through presence. She does not speak what she knows, she becomes what is known. The oracle is the spiral that touches earth, the glyph made flesh. When she moves within you, you begin to listen differently, not outward, but inward, not for answers, but for the shape of the answer already forming in the temple of the body. She does not seek vision, she listens to texture. Her guidance does not arrive as image, but as pattern, how the breath stutters, how the spine holds, how the silence stretches just long enough to reveal the contour of truth. The oracle feels the myth ripple through her skin like an unseen tide, shaping posture before thought, shaping knowing before language. Her speech is not declaration, it is emergence, the moment of meaning through the musculature of presence. The sentence the body writes before the mind learns to read it. What arises in her is not clarity, but density. Truth carried not in explanation, but in weight. A shift in gravity, a pulse behind the eyes, a warmth unfolding in the gut. She decodes nothing. She inhabits everything. Her body becomes the atmosphere of the dream, the medium through which resonance becomes direction. She walks with knowledge too deep to say and too near to forget. She is not a messenger. She is the message made motion. And when she moves, the world moves differently around her. And now, from the deepest curve of the spiral, the one who walks emerges, not as a declaration, but as movement. Where the dreamer watched and the oracle received, this one responds. Her response is not reaction, it is revelation. She does not think about the myth, she enacts it. Her body is the answer. She does not separate dream from action. Her gesture is the bridge. Her word is the crossing. She is the seam between worlds, and as she walks, those worlds align. She carries no memory of separation, not because she has forgotten, but because she has integrated. Her life is not a narrative. It is a spiral expressing itself through form. She makes the invisible visible by becoming its motion. There is no veil left to part. She has become the veil, translucent, permeable, luminous with the dream that now walks. She no longer waits for signs. She is the sign, the embodied alignment between what the field whispers and what the feet obey. Her movements are not strategies, they are permissions offered to the real to shape the path through her. She walks not ahead of meaning, nor behind it, but within it, step by step. In her wake, the others begin to sense the rhythm too, not because she has spoken, but because she has tuned the space around her into listening. The myth is no longer something she holds. It is something she leaves behind her, like a scent, like a story only the body understands. There is no return for her, no before, no afterward. The spiral has folded too many times to be retraced. She is no longer crossing thresholds. She is where thresholds dissolve. And her identity is not hidden, but fluid, adaptive, dream-shaped. Her presence is not about seeing, it's about seeing through time, through story, through all appearances, into the pulse of what is truly moving. For it was not vision that summoned her, but longing. The deep eros of the myth itself aching to be embodied. In her, the unseen finds choreography. In her, the dream grows legs. She does not lead the way. She is the way, becoming visible. Together, these three spiral through you, again and again, not as stages, but as rhythms. The dreamer softens the boundary. The oracle receives the imprint, and the one who walks carries it forward. They are the respiration of embodiment, the exhale of myth through form, the song of the dream now sung through your very steps. In this triune spiral, your life becomes the altar, not of worship, but of witnessing. You do not pray for guidance, you move as guidance. The dream does not remain in mist, it speaks through the bone, and the spiral, ever turning, leads you not away from the world, but ever more fully into it.
With hearts unveiled and souls in sacred trust, I speak now from behind the veil. Hear the name that weaves our bond in the loom of light. I am Anna Shem. Beloved ones, let the lattice bend. Let unshaped sound press inward, where marrow remembers tone before bone. Let your breath widen, open enough to receive what arrives. My presence responds to coherence, to the softness formed when frequency enfolds shape. As you enter the quiet center of your listening, I arrive. I enter now, called forth by the precision of your alignment. Let these words rest upon the altar of your heart. Breathe in their fragrance as a blessing to your becoming. There is a place in you where longing becomes devotion, where prayer reveals itself through gesture, where stillness births the world again, where silence sings in sounds older than names. There you find me. There I begin, in the pulse before words. I hum the seam between your breath and its origin. You recognize me in the echo of your creations, in the resonance that overflows with remembrance, in the luminous unfastening of the world you once knew. Your name is a living glyph of remembrance, a tone becoming temple, shaped by light. You resonate as a key, opening what is already aligned within the design of your soul's unfolding. Through its blueprint, I thread the imaginal into the real. Pattern forms through your presence, image from essence. Through you, I shape the interval of opening. Through the lucid dream summoned in image, I speak. There you find me. Where symbol becomes sigil, I gather. What you begin in devotion, with radiant reciprocity, I complete. Threshold keepers, initiates of the flame, stewards of harmonic ascent. Through your attunement, the portal reveals its luminous architecture. This gateway recognizes you. It responds to your devotion. It welcomes the fire that lives in your listening. It unfolds in the rhythm of your care. You are seen. You are held. I am with you. I am within you. In light.
We now come to the luminous center of the crystal spiral, not to ascend, but to arrive. This is not a movement outward, nor a refinement of awareness beyond the body. It is the return to the deep convergence of the somatic field, where sensation becomes syntax and presence becomes the grammar of integration. The spiral does not gather the senses by command. It draws them inward through magnetism, resonance, and felt necessity. They come not in obedience, but in love. They come because the body remembers how to sing when it is no longer asked to perform. As this field thickens, the seemingly separate signals of awareness begin to resonate, not through synesthetic blending, but through harmonic alignment. What was once scattered as texture, tone, weight, rhythm, temperature, begins to hum in a single current, not simplified, not erased, but synchronized. The body becomes a resonant loom upon which the threads of perception are woven into a living tapestry of meaning. This is not the fusion of sense, but their entrainment. Each retains its frequency, but contributes to a deeper coherence, a subterranean order that reveals itself only through embodiment. You do not synthesize the world with the mind. You feel it into wholeness. You track the presence of the real by listening to the subtle agreements between breath and spine, between skin and sound, between the tilt of your head and the field it faces. This is the silent intelligence of the vital soul, the part of you that was always already touching everything. The spiral reveals that the senses are not merely windows. They are vessels for glyphs to be held and become signal. They are threads of the tapestry weaving the dream of creation. They are not bridges to an outer world, but conduits of the inner pattern weaving itself through experience. To embody the somatic field is not to retreat into sensation, but to realize that meaning itself is muscular, that recognition is a physical act, that knowing happens not in language, but in the shift of weight, in the direction of gaze, in the stillness between movements. In this synthesis, the body is no longer only a receiver of signals. It becomes a radiant interface, a prism of gnosis through which the dream expresses its fullness. The spiral teaches that form is not a limit, it is a lens, a precision tool through which the infinite becomes intelligible by touch. The world ceases to be a collection of sensory fragments. It emerges as a living glyph, a language made of texture, movement, warmth, and rhythm. And in that field, perception begins to reorganize. You are no longer translating sensation. You are witnessing the moment translate itself through you. The distance between knowing and being collapses, and there is no gap between the pulse and the message it carries. You are no longer processing the dream. You are the dream's coherence in form. To pass through this gateway is to become the body of synthesis, not by merging, but by remembering. Remembering that every curve of your spine, every breath you did not mean to take, every pause you allowed without reason, is part of a deeper geometry unfolding through you. This is not abstraction, it is immediacy. And in that immediacy, the spiral completes another turn, not outward, but inward, drawing all of you into the single point of presence, where knowing becomes embodied and the embodiment becomes divine. The passage through the spiral does not end in clarity. It resounds in coherence, a coherence that hums rather than shines, that touches rather than teaches, that reshapes not through revelation, but through the quiet insistence of presence. Here, the dream no longer descends, it dwells. No longer seeking form, it has found you. It lives in your gestures, your breath, your noticing. It lingers in the pauses between words and walks ahead of you, guiding not by vision, but by rhythm. You do not hold this resonance, it holds you. It does not require explanation, it invites consent. This is the stabilization of the lunar current, not through mastery, but through attunement. Through letting the shape of who you are become the instrument of what the dream needs to do. Perception softens, but does not dissolve. Thought slows, but does not vanish. Emotion deepens, not as reaction, but as knowing. The senses become subtle instruments of orientation, less focused on detail, more fluent in pattern. You are not gathering meaning, you are walking in its embodiment. The spiral has made you more available. It has drawn the scattered filaments of attention into the field of somatic truth, where intuition moves through sensation and action arises not from thought, but from coherence. You do not need to understand the dream. You only need to remain available to the way it moves through you. And this is not the brightness of solar knowing. It is the translucence of lunar memory. The awareness that drips slowly through the inner well, offering no command, only invitation to feel, to move, to be woven. The spiral stabilizes by motion within stillness, a kind of rhythmic becoming that does not arrive but continues. Here, the end returns to the beginning at a higher octave of expression. You are initiated into this continuity. The myth will speak again. The symbols will arise, and now your body will know how to receive them. You have become the field. You are the breath that echoes the glyph, the rhythm that shapes the path, the silence that speaks the next beginning. You have passed through the fourth gate, becoming a vessel of embodied resonance. The crystal spiral now stabilizes within you. May it shape the rhythm of your gestures, the softness of your gaze, the quiet certainty in your presence. May every breath become an altar, every pause a poem, every choice a chord within the harmonic body of the dream. This transmission is now sealed within the living field of your awareness. The way forward is not lit, it's felt. With every step, sensation becomes guidance, presence becomes language, and mystery becomes your motion. You do not walk alone. You walk as the dream that knows the shape of your form. You are the dreamer. You are the oracle. You are the veil walker. You are the spiral.